Today, we are going to talk about mastering influencer marketing tips and tactics.
Yeah, so with influencer marketing, there's a few things that you need to keep in mind. I'll go and then Eric, feel free and add whatever you want to add. I know you've done influencer marketing as well. The first thing that I've really seen is if you focus on influencers with follower count versus engagement, you're going to be screwed because if they're not engaging, that means they're probably never going to buy from you. The second thing is if their following isn't 100% related to your products and services, you're going to be screwed. So don't go after the Kardashians. That's always the example I love giving because their follower base is too broad and it's going to cost too much money. You also want to go after micro influencers on that same note. So the more specific the influencers are, the more well-known they are within a space, the better off you are. Then you also want to make sure that when they post about your product or service, they just don't do a promo. They showcase using it, the results, why they like it. They really go in depth. And then when they tell you to go to the website or whatever landing page that they're sending them to, you want to make sure that they're also on your landing page. So it's congruent. So that way they just didn't feel like they're pushing. Their followers don't want to feel like they're just being pawned off to some other company and just being sold all the time. But when the messaging is congruent, it just does way better. So you want to make sure the follower or the influencer, not the follower, the influencer is also on the landing page on your website where they're driving the traffic to, and each influencer should have their own page. You also want to rotate through them. If you use the same influencer for years or even sometimes months, the results aren't always that good. What we found is when you rotate through them, it's much better. And you also want to have a big slew of them, not one or two, not even 100. I'm talking about thousands if possible, and continue to rotate through them and use all the ones that are profitable, cut the ones that aren't, and continually add and try to find more and experiment until you get it right.
I'll keep mine brief. So actually, Neil and I, we have a mutual friend, and he actually sold his company for a couple $100 million. And he actually got in on like the Kim Kardashians of the world back when they actually weren't doing much influencer marketing. So you have to buy low, sell high, right? And it actually worked out well for him because it actually was related. It was a beauty brand, right? And so
yeah. And he bought low and he did sell during the peak of the market too.
Yep. Yeah, both. So he timed both really well. And so that is kind of an example of where it's like they were big influencers, but they were kind of like micro because influencer marketing wasn't really a big game at the time, right? So it's all about timing. There are there's a handful of tools that I want to call out here. You want to look at engagement. Mighty Scout is one tool that you can use to check out engagement for different accounts. Spark Toro is the tool that's created by Rand Fishkin, and you can enter in like, marketing influencer or whatever. And you can actually find it. It actually has pretty good listings of like top podcasts, Twitter profiles, and I show like the engagement rates and all that too. So, I think the move there is just to, because it's charged monthly, you just turn it on for a month or so and then turn it off. They probably should charge on like credits or something, but maybe that's another day for like a business model talk. And then I would say too, I think it's also understanding how to negotiate with people, right? It's also understanding what they want because you're dealing with people at the end of the day. And a lot of these influencers, let's say really big influencers, they're very money driven at the end of the day, right? Whereas the micro influencers, you might be able to get away with some, and I shouldn't say getting away, you might be able to do a deal with a combination of cash and maybe some other things that they want or that they need that you can kind of provide, right? So it's always about figuring out what they need and where it's a win-win for both sides and not trying to make the other side feel like they lost. So that is it for today. Please don't forget to go to marketingschool.io/newsletter. You can subscribe to our free newsletter where we just keep you updated with the Marketing School content weekly.